I'm about to take this $40,000 private jet for free.
Did I pay for it? Yes, sort of, but it actually didn't cost me anything.
And that's because I figured out a way to get stuff for free, and it seems kind of dumb, but it actually works.
So I'm gonna show you how I managed to afford private jet trips, yacht trips, and even fancy hotels in Dubai. And you may think that you have to have a lot of money to do this, but you can do this at any stage and any level of scale. I'll teach you a new way to view luxury so that it can always be free. This concept is called time arbitrage, and I'll give you a couple of examples of it in practice. I'll start with a high level, like I'm doing it at, and then I'll show you how anyone can do it, even a high school student. So here's the high level. I really don't want to fly Spirit Airlines. Last time I flew Spirit, I got stuck in this tiny little seat. My flight was delayed. I missed my connecting flight, and I almost missed an event that I was speaking at. Now I made it, but that event ended up making my company over $250,000. If I would have missed that event, that would have been a $250,000 flight on Spirit Airlines. So I promised myself I would never fly Spirit again. So about a year later, I get invited on some really big podcasts that could, again, bring my company a substantial amount of money. And they were in Vegas. And of course, the only flight from Florida to Vegas is Spirit. Yay. And I was flying into Dubai and I only had like 1 day difference, so there was no way I could have a flight delayed. So I started checking into private flights and I found that I could get a private flight from Florida to Vegas, fuel, pilot, everything for about $40,000. Now, one thing I've learned over the years about rich people is that they see opportunities that are worth a lot and then they pay to not miss those opportunities. So even though it made financial sense for me to pay $40,000 for this flight to not miss a potentially multi-100,000, maybe even millions of dollars in potential revenue for my company, there's one crucial factor that I wasn't considering. And that is that I'm cheap. I don't want to pay 40 grand for a flight. That's bananas. So I had to figure out a way to get it for free. But there's two aspects to this. There's making your time valuable enough to be able to afford things, and then there's getting stuff for free. So let's start with the first one. Time arbitrage works at any level, even if you're starting from zero. So imagine you're a high school student and there's a new video game coming out or a piece of clothing, limited edition. And if you go to the mall and you wait in line for several hours, you can get a $50 discount. Well, you can take those hours that you would have spent standing in line and you can go mow a lawn and you can make 50 bucks so that you can afford the thing that you want and not have to worry about standing in line. And you will have gained a customer mowing the lawn who can then pay you again and again and again. Because, grass grows. He's gonna need it cut again. And then his neighbor's like, oh, I need my grass cut. Now you got another customer. See, your time just became more valuable. Or you could even take those hours and learn how to do something like graphic design or coding and go out and do freelance work. And again, your time just became more valuable. It starts to now not make sense to stand in line. Same thing with flying commercial. Let's say that a cheap flight has 1 or 2 stops, but the more expensive flight is direct. Well, if you pay extra money for the direct flight, you can take those saved hours and you can, again, learn a skill that will make you more money. Or if you have a business, you can spend that time closing deals. And even if you just paid for the damn flight and you didn't make any money, you're still taking that time and learning something that makes your time more valuable so that next time you don't even have to worry about it. You can just pay for it. And even if you're dead broke, go in the garage, find an old bike or something that you've been meaning to sell but haven't, put it on Craigslist, put it on Facebook Marketplace, sell it, get the more expensive ticket, take the time, learn the skill, boom, now your time is more valuable. Time arbitrage is about using your time to make your time more valuable so that it makes more sense to pay money to save your time. And this compounds because the more time you spend making your time more valuable, the more it makes sense to spend money on saving time, which means you have even more time, which means it can be even more valuable. And it just goes bananas until eventually you're flying on private jets because it just doesn't make sense to take a commercial flight. Now, yes, this will take some time, but my God, if you don't start right now, it'll never happen for you. The lesson here is that penny pinching is keeping you poor. Billionaire Jack Ma once said that if you give a monkey a choice between bananas and money, he's gonna choose the bananas because the monkey doesn't realize that the money can buy way more bananas than what you gave them in the first place. And similarly, if you give the average person a choice between a job and a business, they take the job because they don't realize that the business can earn them way more money than a salary. See, this is what I call normie thinking. Do you want to be a normie or do you want to be rich? Can't get rich thinking like a normie. Because normies don't see the long-term value of their time. That's why most people just go through life, wake up, eat shit, go to work, eat shit, sleep, eat shit, eat shit, eat shit. And then they literally have to eat shit because they don't have enough money to afford the finer things in life. Unsuccessful people trade their time for money. Successful people trade their money for time. Now that you understand time arbitrage, let me show you how I used it to make the jet trip essentially free. At this point in my career, I have a decent sized social media following and email list because I constantly trade money for time and increase my skills. And so I sent out an email and I made a post and I said, hey, I'm gonna be in Vegas on these dates. I'm gonna do a one-day seminar. You can come to the seminar and I'll help you with your business. I'll ask any question that you have. The price is $5,000. So I only needed to sell 8 people to make $40,000 to pay for the jet and essentially cancel it out and make it free. Well, we accidentally sold 9 tickets, so I actually made a little bit of money and the jet was free. Now you might think, well, that's you, Dan. Nobody's gonna pay me $5,000 to answer questions. And you are right. They probably won't. But I started this on a very small, tiny scale, and here's how I did it. In 2012, I wanted to go on a cruise with my girlfriend, but I didn't have the money. At the time, blogging was becoming popular. So I set a day aside and I learned WordPress, which is the popular blogging software. I learned how to set it up and launch your blog, which honestly took not even a day to learn. Then I made a post on Craigslist offering a free seminar on how to start your blog. And I said, come to the seminar, you'll learn how to start your blog, and you'll even get it set up by the time you leave. Well, in order to have a blog, you have to have what's called hosting. And at the time, hosting companies were offering like $150 per signup if you referred somebody to their hosting platform. So I held the seminar, I had like 30 people come, all for free. I taught them how to start a blog, and then I said, okay, now let's set the blog up in real time so that it's done by the time you leave. Go to this link and pay for hosting. So they all went to the link, they paid for hosting, and I made $150 per attendee, and I ended up making like $3,000 that day. And that completely paid for the cruise. We went on, we had a fantastic time, and my girlfriend later became my wife and the mother of my cute, adorable baby boy. I'm just gonna shove his picture in your face so you see the cuteness. Anyway, the lesson here is that most people don't take time to learn new things. So if you take that time and then you spoon feed it to them, you can make money doing that. And the time that you spend learning it, instead of wasting that on saving money, or even worse, Netflixing and chilling, go learn the thing. Now, I've been using time arbitrage for years, so here's another example of how I used it to pay my way through college. So I went to a very expensive college. It was a specialty school where I learned audio engineering, and it was about an hour away from my house. So not only was the school expensive, but I had this old Chevy Blazer that just drank gasoline. So even the trip back and forth was pricey. I would sometimes even sleep in my car if I had a late class and an early class the next morning just to save money. Well, one day I'm in a Guitar Center, and there's this guy who was looking at audio equipment, and I struck up a conversation with him, and I just gave him some advice on the right audio equipment to buy for his home studio. He was so impressed by my advice that he offered to pay me $100 to go to his house and teach him how to use his home studio software. Now, he could have been a murderer, but I needed money. Thankfully, he wasn't, and it was the easiest $100 I ever made. So I got an idea. I went on Craigslist and I made a post. I said, hey, for $50 an hour, I will get on Zoom with you and I will walk you through how to use your home studio software. So I started doing that. I got fully booked out, and not only did I end up paying my way through college, but I was making more money doing that than what I would have made with the degree that I would have got if I would have stayed in college. So my time became so much more valuable that it didn't even make sense to go to college anymore. So I dropped out, and thus began my journey in entrepreneurship. Enough about me, here's how to use time arbitrage in your life. First thing you need to do is eliminate all the things in your life that are preventing you from making your time more valuable. Just as I learned skills that made my time more valuable so that I could make more money, you can do this as well. First thing is shopping. Grocery shopping takes frickin' hours. So use Instacart. Yes, I get it. It's a little bit more expensive. There's a delivery fee, but that's multiple hours per week that you could use learning a skill that'll make you money. In fact, Instacart has helped its customers save over 700 million hours. It saves me about 3 hours a week. And trust me, those 3 hours a week are worth a lot more than the few dollars I pay for a delivery fee. Next thing is driving. So when I fly, I usually fly out of Orlando, which is about 2 hours away, because I just get better direct flights. So instead of driving there myself, I take an Uber, and the Uber costs about $200. But while I'm in the car, I can get work done that makes me money. In fact, I can close deals responding to Instagram DMs and make way more money than $200. Sometimes one deal is worth $8,000, $10,000 to my company. Why on earth would I save $200 when I could be closing deals? So for you, imagine you had a product that you sold that cost a mere $200, and you're in the car, you're talking to people on Instagram, you close one deal in that 2-hour drive you paid for the Uber. You don't even have to charge a lot to make your time more valuable. Do you see how important it is to value your time over money? Because look, if I offered to wire you $1 million right now, you'd take it, right? But what if you couldn't wake up tomorrow? No, of course you wouldn't take it. But what if it was 10 million? What if it was 100 million? What if it was 1 billion? The answer is still no. Why? Because I'm taking your time. I'm paying you $1 billion for it, but sorry, it ain't worth it. Because time is infinitely more valuable than money, and most of us just don't realize that. And when I realized it, that's when my life took off. When you live with this mindset, you can't help but level up. And here's one more perfect example of that. I recently decided to move to Dubai, and my mother calls me and she says, "Dan, I've heard Dubai is like one of the most expensive cities in the world. Are you sure you can afford that?" And I told her, "Mom, believe it or not, I can't afford not to live there." Because when I went to visit for a month, I made so many connections that I added an extra $1 million in revenue to my company just from the connections. In fact, I met a guy who was holding an event with only 11 people, just a small little event. And he offered me to come and do the pitch for that event because he was great at teaching, but not good at pitching what he had to sell in a live setting. So I went there, I did the pitch, and I got a $36,000 commission just for 90 minutes of my time, because I've spent years learning how to sell from stage, making my time more valuable. That's why that 90 minutes made me 36 grand, which, by the way, paid for the entire trip to Dubai. Then my buddy Dennis Yu pulled me on stage at Affiliate World, and I got to speak in front of thousands of people exposing my brand. Just because I happened to be in Dubai. "Hey Dan, come up here, come talk for a minute." And I just thought to myself, imagine if I lived there full time, how much extra money I could make. So I asked my wife, "Hey, want to move to Dubai?" She said yes. So we bought a house in Dubai and began our new life there, because time is money. And when you value your time over money, you will be able to afford whatever you want as time goes by. So ask yourself, where are you wasting your time today? What skills can you learn to make your time more valuable so that you don't have to spend your time doing dumb stuff that you don't want to do? And you can have nicer things while you do it. Now, if you want to save even more time, you can watch my video on how I invested $500,000 into Business Gurus and what I learned. That way you can save 500 grand and learn it a lot quicker. You can check that video out here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.